As you prepare each day or each week for your events, there are some general preparation tips to follow. First off, if you receive content regularly, it's a good idea to test this content at least 1 to 2 days prior to your event day, especially if that new content has audio. If you get content from an outside source, it must be tested on your display to make sure it was sized properly and all elements fit correctly. Audio levels can be different if content comes from different outside sources, so you must make sure the audio is at a healthy level to send through the facility's sound system. If you're the producer of the show, you may need to devote at least 4 to 6 hours per week on game preparation. This includes time for creating content, loading, organizing, and testing that content. Once you get into somewhat of a groove with content creation, most of these elements will not need to be updated for each event. Therefore, your prep time will go down as you progress through the year. It would also be a good idea to come up with a pregame checklist detailing all the things that must be done before an event. It would be a good idea to write something down to make sure all items are covered, because once an event begins, there is no time for testing or loading new items. Earlier, we talked about the producer being the person who guides the production crew through the game script. Now, a game script is created before an event, and it outlines all scheduled timeouts and PA announcements. It also outlines any graphics or animations that should play during that specific announcement or timeout. Naming of this content in the game script should correspond directly with the naming of the graphic or video in order for the operator to better identify what to play at a given time. Everyone, with the exception of camera operators, should have a game script and follow along with the flow of the game. While camera operators do not have a script, a production meeting should take place that includes those individuals so they have an idea of what's coming for them to cover. Let's take a look at 2 sample scripts to better see the layout. This first sample script was taken from a college basketball game and is a good example of how this type of document can be laid out for a production crew. From left to right, you can see columns labeled differently showing what graphics go on different video boards, what time in the game they occur, the PA announcement that is read, and what sound will play. In this example, we see 3 scheduled timeouts. Each occur at specific times on the game clock. Once gameplay stops under the 12-minute mark on the game clock in this example, you will see we have a PA announcement leading into a fan cam with sound coming from the control room. Also note that 2 corresponding logos are shown on separate video boards that show the sponsor of this fan cam. Each of those graphics has a label above it showing what source these graphics are coming from. For example, from the Venus operator or show control operator, or from playback. If we continue to the next scheduled timeout, which occurs when there's a stoppage in play under the 8-minute mark on the game clock, you will see that we'll go right into a video from the source called playback, and the audio will come from the control room sound mixer. It also has corresponding graphics that are cued from the show control operator, showing logos or other info related to this video. Immediately following that video, we go right into another PA announcement indicating another fan cam. This sound also comes from the control room audio mixer, and there is 1 graphic from the show control operator to go on another display in the arena. The final timeout at the 4-minute mark on the game clock shows there is no promotional material. However, we see the pep band that's in the arena will be playing a song. In this instance, live shots will likely be shown during this time. Here's one more example of a game script. This one was taken from a pregame of a college football game. What's different about this script from the last one we looked at is that it has 2 separate columns labeled real time and clock, showing the comparisons with time of day as it relates to the time on the game clock. There's even a spot labeled production meeting like we talked about before, to give everyone on the crew a heads up on when and where that'll take place. When a pre-recorded video is played, this script shows a total running time of that video to keep everything in check with the flow of all of the pre-game activities. As far as displays, we see the facility not only has a main video board, but also has a matrix display that shows sponsors and graphics that may relate to what is shown on the main video board. Feel free to pause this tutorial to view these two examples in more detail and get familiar with their layouts. Another document that is useful to make prior to your first game would be a sponsor verification sheet like you see here. This is simply a sheet where you can list for your operator what piece of content is sold to a sponsor and how many times it should play during an event, and they can check it off each time it's played. It's a great way to document and deliver to your paying sponsors after each event to ensure that you're meeting all the contractual requirements. This document can be easily created in a spreadsheet program or simply drawing out on a piece of paper. Before an event even starts, your production crew should have a crew call time well before doors open to the public. Crew call times are typically ranged between 2 and 4 hours prior to your event. This is a great time for setting up equipment, getting things powered on, white balancing cameras, having a production meeting or reviewing the day's game script, testing new content you've received with your operators, and of course, doing an audio check and make sure the control room audio mixer is properly feeding the facility's main sound system. Good communication is essential in live event production. During each event, all crew needs to be on some type of intercom system allowing everyone to hear commands from your director or producer. This is important when your crew is not all sitting in the same location or cameras are being used. Common intercom systems include ClearCom or Telex. These intercom systems can run multiple channels or one single channel depending on the size of your crew and how many different groups will be on at the same time. Most likely, your system should be exclusive to the production crew only. Once everyone is on headset for an event, communication will mainly come from the producer or director of your show. This communication should be loud, clear, and concise. Keep in mind, some of your crew members, such as your camera operators, will be fighting crowd noise, music, and the facility's sound system in order to hear commands coming from the control room. As we wrap up the production side of this tutorial, here are some helpful suggestions to consider when producing your show. We talked earlier about informing fans with real-time stats and data. This is a nice option to be utilized to show updated team stats and individual player stats. Be sure to take advantage of the power and the flexibility of your Daktronics control system to keep your fans informed of a player's progress. Another helpful tip is to be familiar with the different video feeds you may have to provide to outside of the video display. Some common examples of this would be for your closed-circuit monitors, coach's film, internet streaming, and even official replay. When choosing video equipment, keep this in mind as you might have to provide outputs of your show for others. And finally, always prepare for something technical to go wrong during your production. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a perfect show, even in the world of television. Even though your audience sees a great product on the display, there still may be issues going on behind the scenes that don't get shown to fans. The reality is, production crews have backup plans if certain things do go wrong or do not function correctly. As you prepare for your events, come up with your own backup plan. For example, what if stats stop coming through to your display and you're not able to show real-time data? What if a camera goes down before a game while you're white balancing? And what if replay is not working? Things like this hopefully won't happen, but when they do, you will need to initiate those backup plans.